So part two of the video, we're going to basically put a reference line in here, and then we're going to cut some sections across this volume. So first thing I want to do is I just want to have my undercut visible. There's a couple ways I can do that. I can turn off layers, so I can just turn off my overcut like that, or I can use some of our clip tools. So clip this view. I want to see from here down to here. The advantage of that is it still keeps the information on the right hand view visible, whereas on the left hand view I can see the slice. So just what I wanted to display. Next thing I want to do is I want to put a reference line in here that'll encompass the whole thing. So I'm just going to use this clip tools again. So this one, I'm just going to cut it from here to here and display it over here. Make it a little wider. And what I want to do is draw a reference line that follows the floor. So what I'm going to do that is just take a P line, and there's a couple ways you can do this, but the easiest way is just take a P line at this point, put it ortho on, now go up, let's say 1.6 meters from the floor, and then come over here. Let's see, where is that? That's that one right there. So just want to get close to, that's close to where I want right here. So I'm just going to draw another line here, and I'm going to go 1.8 meters up that way, and then I'm going to do a 3D poly and connect the end point of here, turn my ortho off to the end point of here. So there's my reference line 1.8 meters off. Then I can get rid of these two little stands that I put in, like so. Alright, so here's my reference line. Now let's say I have my slot drawn up over here or something. I'm just going to cut perpendicular to this reference line. So perpendicular, the easiest way is just to draw a line like that. Turn on my perpendicular like that, and so that's going to be my first cut. I'm just going to move this like that. So I'm going to cut, so that's where I come into my section cutting tool. So define section, so it's going to be ring, and let's say I want them to be 1.8, so that would be my burden, and I'm going to cut 10 of them for now. So I'm going to cut from here to here, so there are my 10 cuts. Enter. Come over to the right side, cut, select my rings. Before I do that, I need to turn on my stope. Otherwise it won't cut. It only cuts what's there. Okay, so cut through 10. So it cuts my sections. And over here you can see the cuts themselves. So here's my first one. Sorry, that's my last ring. So I'm just going to step through them here. So there's ring 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back to 1. So this would be my first ring. So I'm just going to quickly do up a couple of holes. The one in here, I want to trim this. And so this would be what you expect your blast to look like. So I'm just going to make a slight adjustment to that, which will change the volume, because that's where it's going to break, is something along that line. Maybe a little further down, at least that's what I want. So first thing I want to do is I want to identify where my drill drift is. So you can see the dashed line appears. Next thing I want to do is I want to define my blast outline. Like that. Okay. Now, this is probably going to break, so I'm going to actually move this up to here, like so. So even though I had the wireframe drawn one way, I'm going to modify it because that's going to break. There's not enough there to hold it, so it's going to come down. Next thing I want to do is I want to put my setup in. Now, setup will put in whatever drill is set as my default. And you'll notice on the left-hand side over here, it shows me the drill in 3 dimensions. So I can put in as many setups as I want. It also will determine how close I get to the left or right wall automatically. Let me just pull this over, it's not showing up. Okay. So I want to put one setup here, another one here, and a third one there. Okay, so those are my 3 setup points. Next, I'm going to do a fan layout. Now you have to read over here on your screen. Say, no, I don't want to just pick my setup. Okay, so my first hole, I want to go here. My last hole, I want to go about there. So what it does is it will then calculate how many holes will fit in with based on my toe spacing. Toe spacing is set to 3.7. I don't want that. Toe spacing of 2.5. So it puts in my holes. When I'm happy with that, I just hit enter and it accepts it. Next, I want to put in my other fan. So like that. Bring it all the way up here. And my toe spacing again, the default set wrong. I can change that later. Okay, and then I want to put a single hole up the middle. Right here. Escape. So now I've drawn up my blast for my first ring. Next thing I want to do is I want to put my reference line in. Now reference line, I can't see my reference line here. So what I'm going to do is I want it to stand out a little bit. It's a little too small for me. So I'm just going to beef it up a little bit. There it is right there. Right, so that's where my reference line is. So I'm going to put a reference line here. And that's going to be reference line 1. Next thing I want to do is put my north arrow in. So I'm looking south. If I pick in the other direction, north. Okay. So I've got my reference line in. Next I want to label my holes. So I'm just going through this very quickly. So it's always important to read down along your command line what it's asking for. So do I want to use automatic naming? Yes. Some setups are not named. Do I want to name them? Yes. All setups, font size, and I'm going to say A. And then usually you take the defaults. Am I going to label them counterclockwise? No, I'm going to label them clockwise. So here's my first hole right here. So there's all my holes labeled. Okay. Next thing I want to do is actually generate my plot. But let's check some of my configurations out here. So right now I'm set to landscape 8.5 by 11, so I'm 200 scale. Let's go to 250 scale. I can set my printer at this point. I'm not going to. And I'm setting for an ITH 114 millimeter. Okay. So it's doing a quick save of my settings. Okay. All right. Now I want to generate my blast letter. Do I want to use automatic? Yes. So I want to pick my outline. All right. Burden. So it's 2.5. Density. Take some defaults. Pick my center point. And what it'll do at this point is automatically generate a blast letter for me with certain information filled in. For instance, alright, so right now it's showing me how far my setups are from each wall, the hole number, my dip, if I dump my section, meaning inclined it, what the length of each hole is, my tonnage, my volume, and how many meters of drilling I have, as well as the meters there. And the nice thing is this is dynamic, it's linked. So if I were to, for instance, take this hole and let's say shorten it for whatever reason. So you see 10 was set to 35.7. Now if I just refresh, it will automatically put in the new length, 27.6. So the user can actually go in and make changes without having to regenerate the entire ring again. Saves a lot of time on the back end. You'll also notice it makes a layout tab down here. So every ring will have its own layout tab. So if I were to go to the next one and say, all right, let's step through to my next ring. Make some adjustments here. Just bring that up. Bring that up. Like so. Because that's going to break. I'm going to trim because the drift. Oh, sorry. Try that again. Trim. Use this as a cutting edge. Cut that. And then grab this. Bring it down to where it's going to break. The reason why I'm doing this, I want to have an accurate volume when I break. And so it's going to calculate the volume minus the drift. So first thing I'm going to do is set my drift. Next, set my what I expect my blast outline to be. And then it's just rinse and repeat, do the same thing. So I'm just going to put one drill here. Also, I can flip my drill. If the drill, for instance, you can see in the third dimension where the drill is sitting. If let's say there's a curve in this drift here, I can reverse my drill and look at it from the other side. So all the values will get reversed. So you can see here, even though this says, if I go in here and you see I can get right to this wall, that's as close as I can get to that wall, which is fine. If I go to the other side, it says, okay, I can get that close, but if you look in 3 dimensions, I'm hitting the wall. So the furthest over I could go would be right there. That's as far over as the drift would allow. If I reverse it, so I'm fine there, and I'm fine there. So escape, I've got my one set up for now. I'm going to do a fan from here. Turn my ortho off, and I'm going to go all the way around to here. Okay, again it took my toe spacing. I want to go 2.5. Okay. And it draws in that, so I can hit enter to accept it. Now, all those settings that I'm going through, they're all set in our configuration screen, which is over here. So we've got how we want to build everything. So this is all stored within the system. These are all variables. Your drills, you can store all your different types of drills, what the parameters are, and so on. So it's very easy for the user to customize exactly what they're looking for. Okay, so now I would generate another layout based on this one. So I could just generate it right now without any names or anything on it. So I'm just going to generate. So I picked my drift outline. Pick my center point. So now I've got my second ring done with all this information. Whether I have breakthroughs or not, the user can actually go in, put in information. So say breakthrough at 20 meters. Oh, a little big. Let's adjust that. Adjust my properties. Shrink it down. Okay. And so on. So the idea is to try to automate the process and get a standardized look. This can all be customized to the site. There's a great deal of information that can be put in here. This is just one way of displaying it. You could put in offsets left or right, or north or south of reference line, meters drilled, how many explosives, what type of explosives, is there a breakthrough, where was the nearest stope that was drilled, and so on. So there's a lot of functions that are built in. The fact that you can save the information into a single file and then print this to a single PDF file or send it to a printer, all done through the AutoCAD engine. So I could easily just publish this to the printer. You also put in here, you could put your drilling information, information for the drillers, sign-off sheets. You also have a plan, production, and so on. So it's very flexible, very easy to set up. Um, when you start using it, it can be tweaked until it gets exactly the information you want. There's really no limit on how much it can be customized. So we're going to stop this one, and we'll go look at the next module, which will be survey.